So I'll just go ahead and introduce my guest, and we're going to have our interview right here at the end of the 8 o'clock hour before we get into 9 o'clock. With me is SMDH pharmacist David Kerr. David, you might just introduce yourself, tell a little bit about yourself, but we welcome you to KSMO Radio.
Good morning, Bob. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm David Kerr. I'm a pharmacist out at SMDH. I grew up here in Salem. I was actually born at Hart Clinic, if you remember where that's at
I
downtown.
do. Went there
Yeah,
many times.
and went all the way through school here. Went through R4 and Salem's junior high and senior high, and worked in the family business after my dad had a trucking business
I
after I
remember
got out
that.
of high school,
Hmm.
and after we sold the business, I ended up going to college. Went to UMR at Missouri S&T now,
Still UMR
and
to me.
and then went to Kansas City Pharmacy School and ended up in Springfield. Worked a few years at Cox South and worked at the Federal Medical Center and worked at Mercy, and then ended up opening a new pharmacy, a independent retail pharmacy down in Springfield on South Campbell, pretty close to downtown. And I've done that for the last few years, and had an opportunity to sell it, and decided to move back to Salem.
Oh, I got you. And uh, David, now, I never had David as a student during the years I taught. I don't remember him as a student anyway.
Right.
Now, did you take any ag classes?
No, I didn't.
I didn't. I
No.
didn't think you did. But the reason I brought that up is the fact that David is a pretty good example of what I, for years and years and years, I don't want to say preached, but really commented to my students about how they would move away from Salem for a number of years, usually more like 10 to 15 years, and David might have been away just a little longer than that, and then decide to return to Salem for the lifestyle, the atmosphere, the all the amenities that we have available in Denton County, which a lot of people says there's nothing to do in Denton County, but that's because you're not looking for it. That's my opinion. So that kind of fits some of the reason that brought David back.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've always been a avid fisherman and hunter, and come back for deer season every year, and I've just always liked it here, and thought I would come back and maybe retire here.
Very good. And you get roots down in the community. You might have to grow those roots on a long ways away, but they'll bring you back. They'll bring you back definitely. Well, how long have you been here at SMDH now as the pharmacist?
Actually, just a little over a month. Haven't been here
Wow,
very long. Yeah, it's kind of
you're a newbie.
yeah, kind
That
of
old
just
term.
dived right in, and it's really a good organization. I mean, I really enjoy working there. A lot of people working together, and with the COVID crisis that's going on now, it's really created some difficulties getting things done and getting what you need. But they're really working hard and
But the
doing a
other
good
side of
job.
the coin is, and tell me if I'm wrong on this. I think in a lot of respects, depending on the business that you're in some respects, COVID has actually improved the teamwork attitude among folks. It's increased the stress, but the teamwork part of it. Have you kind of seen that? Of course, you haven't been here long enough to really probably see that change or that because of COVID, but do you kind of think that's probably been the case?
Oh, absolutely. I see some of the things that they're doing now out there that they weren't doing before. There's a lot more communication, lot of communication between the different teams, and it has improved communication a lot.
And it doesn't matter whether it's healthcare or some other type of business that teamwork had to improve, or we're not, and it's got to stay there now, or we're not going to make it through this pandemic that we're struggling through. And I hate to use that word struggling, but it is a considerable struggle for
Oh,
all of.
definitely. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of stress on everyone, and it's right now we're kind of peaking here,
Yeah.
or maybe even still going up a little bit. But
I'm afraid that might be the case.
uh,
And you mentioned the stress, and I kind of, as early on, and I'll admit this, early on in the pandemic, when we saw all these reports from other parts of the country how severe it was, it really didn't affect me mentally. I don't believe, but as we knew it was coming to the area. It just seemed like it was unavoidable for it to occur in our area and start increasing in the number of cases, the positive cases. And I do see myself an increase in the mental negative effect that it's causing on myself, and I'm sure that's pretty well common from person to person, and I'm sure you can relate to that in some respects.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it has increased the stress level. And, I think we all kind of thought that it was out there, but it wasn't going to get to us, and it has. It's here. And it's just going to have to deal with it and do the best.
Yeah. And we keep getting the reports from the health center and the school, the local effects, and we'll just have to keep fighting through it. That's it. This being from the Ozarks already, Ozarkians, and I use that term in a positive sense, are up for struggles and complications. I don't know how best to describe it, but it seems like we're a very, very resilient population. So we'll make it through. It's just going to be a battle.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, let's kind of stay with COVID, but switch just a little bit. Would you talk a little bit about, from the pharmacist standpoint, treatments of COVID-19?
Well, what we're seeing right now is we have an investigational drug that's been approved for use with COVID patients under certain guidelines, remdesivir, which is an antiviral drug that was being produced actually for something else, but it seems to be helping with the COVID. We're seeing a few cases of that. We're using that. We were really limited on our supply we could get in the beginning, but now they've kind of opened that up where we can pretty much get what we need.
Now, is that strictly for severe cases that require hospitalization?
Correct. It's for hospitalized patients that are on high flow oxygen, and that's really the only approved use for it now is in hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's important, and I know there are folks that are swearing by it that have had recovered, at least from the initial infection. I know I was just listening to, I think it was AP, one of our AP broadcasts earlier, where a candidate for Congress in, I don't remember what state, doesn't really matter, had it back in March, and she talked about the fact that she's still battling, call them side effects, call them residual effects, I don't know what the best term would be for it, but particularly fatigue, that not really able to bounce back. And I can see from my standpoint as a senior citizen, in fact, a very senior citizen now, that even today, bouncing back physically from just exertion is difficult. So I can kind of imagine how, from the effects of COVID, anybody that's either over that age of 65 or has an immune problem or some health situation that complicates their recovery, how it can be very, very difficult.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it seems like COVID's a new thing. It's a fairly new thing. We don't really know the long-term effects from it yet. Seems to really affect the lungs. Not really sure how long that's going to, if you improve from that or if it sticks around. And with that, I think it's really important this year for everyone to get a flu shot. I mean, we've kind of got a double whammy out there, and I think anything we can do to improve the chances will help.
And I think it might be appropriate. It's not SMDH doing it, but it might be appropriate just to remind folks, because David just now emphasized the importance of that flu shot, that today till 6 o'clock this evening and starting at 10, Denton County Health Center is going to have a drive-through flu shot, not shuflot, a flu shot clinic at the Denton County Fire Station. So that just, I think, should impress upon people the importance of that flu shot. I know there are folks that swear, I'm not going to get a flu shot, never have, and I've been just fine. Well, I taught for those 40 years, and I think every year I got a flu shot, and I know there were a few that I might have skipped, and I know those winters that I didn't get that flu shot, I had more colds and sniffles than the years that I went ahead and got. Now, maybe that was because of the difference in the shot. I don't know. Difference in what particular viruses it was effective on. But it doesn't matter. Get it this year, as David said, is more important than probably any time that we can remember that we have that flu shot to hopefully head off getting the flu and COVID at the same time. That would be just a worst case scenario, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I think the flu shot would definitely help this year for people who haven't gotten it, or, you might see some minor side effects from the flu shot. You can't get the flu from the flu shot, but you might have some body aches, but that's really about it. And it could definitely improve your chances if you end up with both of them.
Last year I got the shingles vaccination, and at least in my case, the shingles vaccination was a lot worse than any flu shot that I ever got. And I didn't really expect that with the shingles. I never hear anything. And it was just me, just the way my system reacted to it. So, yeah, get that flu shot. That's absolutely a necessity. Well, David, what else would you like to share here on your first time on KSMO Radio?
Oh gosh, Bob, I don't know. I wanted to stress the SMDH family out there. It's really a good organization. We're really lucky to have an organization like that here in the county, in the community.
And I know that's one of the reasons too that KSMO enjoys these spots by SMDH on our radio station, that just to remind people that we have a jewel here. That not very many rural communities, and yes, we're a rural community. Don't ever think we're not. Not very many rural communities have this opportunity, and some of the different things provided. I know, was it last week? I'm going to get in trouble here because I can't remember the young lady's name. I know Malone from the radiology department was in talking about the great, awesome opportunity women have for mammograms here with the top-of-the-line equipment. And that just doesn't happen in very many communities. Now, granted, we had some folks with local ties that made that possible, but still, we have a jewel in SMDH. So, David, we welcome you back to Dent County, the SMDH family. Anything else you'd like to share before we kind of wind our little presentation down?
Oh, I think that's it for now, Bob.
Well, for your first time, you did great. We enjoyed having you here. And folks, just be sure and tune in when we have the SMDH Spotlight on right here on KS.